Best Series podcast. I'm Giovanni Lago, and today I am joined by the creator, the showrunner, the writer, executive producer of The Diplomat, Debora Cahn. Deborah, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for inviting me. This is so nice.
I actually watched the series with my mother. She loves it. And, season two, a lot changes and immediately off the bat. The expectations are different, the energy is different. I would love to know the conversations you had with Alex Grave and Tucker Gates to start the season off on a more propulsive note and how
Mhm.
that energy maintained throughout the rest of the season.
Uh, Alex directed the first two episodes, and he always has a real amazing focus on exactly that, what you've pinpointed. Well, like, where's the propulsion coming from? And you see the second we open just this rocket of people coming, tearing through a space, this beautiful space. We have Kate and Dennison and their beautiful finery, and it is down to like brass tacks, most basic information: who's where, who survived, who didn't, who's hurt, and how do we get out of here. So it was really important to me to make sure that there was this dangerous thing that happened, this life or death thing that happened, uh, and Kate having absolutely no idea if Hal is alive or dead. I did not want to see her emotional reaction to that
Mhm.
until as late as humanly possible. And we made the decision that she would have almost no reaction until she knew that he was going to be okay. And
Mhm.
then it all
It comes out.
so the delaying of that was really interesting because there are
Mhm.
moments where it's like, is she in there? Is she,
Yeah.
happy maybe? Like, she was about to start a relationship with somebody else. Is she happy that maybe he's gone? Is she a psychopath? Is she alive? And then we were able to kind of see the delay, and then her fall apart in this incredible moment with her and Hal in the hospital when he wakes up.
I'm also curious, when you were discussing with the other writers ahead of the season for season two, it's shorter than the first season. Was that always when you guys were planning out the how the story plotted out for season two? Did you not think it would be able to stretch out as much as the first season? Did you think you wanted to make it more contained this time around?
Uh, we had a calendar situation that put
Oh,
us in a situation where there wasn't quite as much time.
mm-hmm.
So I didn't think we would get 8 episodes out as quickly as we needed to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it was a little bit less of a creative question and more
Yeah,
calendar
of
question.
a technical, but it also like that
It was
crunch, I
fun.
assume. Yeah, probably played into that energy we're talking about because now you have to make a lot more happen within a shorter amount of time, less episodes. I'm curious, when you are writing the season with the other writers, uh, everything that deals with conspiracy or plots, I feel to a degree weaker showrunners or writers could drag it out to the point where it begins to lose steam. I know you've had such experience writing on very heavy political shows like West Wing and Homeland. When you're discussing that conversation with other writers about how to maintain audiences' interest, how do you tackle that as a writer in terms of we should reveal more information here, we should hold back here, we can't wait too long to do this? I'm curious from your perspective.
My experience has been that you figure it out as you're going. You start
Hmm.
the season with a big plan and a big
Hmm.
idea about what you're going to do and where you want to get to and how much can happen. And then it was interesting as I got to know this show, as the show grew, realizing that it can't metabolize a ton of plot very quickly because the fundamental idea is that something happens and you want to see a number of different reactions on the American side, and then you want to see a number of different reactions on the British side. And then there's Russia and Germany and all of the
Yeah.
players who become involved. And I really wanted to get away from the notion that there's an American point of view and then there is an other of some sort that is a unified body. I mean, like you put two Americans in the room and they will manage to disagree about absolutely everything. So obviously that's true in every country. And with that as the kind of critical assumption that you're making, any event has to get digested through a lot of different points of view. So you don't get very far. So we
Yeah.
started out with a whole lot of plot in season one that we simply didn't get to. In fact, what we had broken as episodes 1 through 8 in season one turned into all of all of seasons 1 and 2.
Oh.
Yeah, we had an idea to sort of wrap things up in episode 7 and 8 of the first season. And I was like, this is insane. There's too much story here. I don't want to race through it. It feels fake to me when
Mhm.
you go through story too quickly. The audience can't absorb it and find a way to make it real for themselves. So it just starts to sound bullshitty really quickly.
Mhm.
So we just took all of that story and turned it into the entire second season.
I'm also curious, we're kind of talking about digesting all that information and patience to a degree. I feel like also with writers, after a certain point, we're like, okay, we need to get to this or at least not overstay our welcome. And I think that's always touchy when it comes to on and off relationships. And I think that's also one of the best things about The Diplomat is, Hal and Kate's relationship. I would love to specifically know, as we gear towards the finale, Hal makes a game time decision, as you will, as in very much Hal behavior. It feels like that might be the nail on the coffin for their relationship. I know this is like death do us apart and there's the give and take but I know obviously what happens to Head because you guys are already working on season 3. You're obviously a showrunner, but do you feel from your perspective is that the point where it's irreparable? Is that like unrecoverable? Like they kind of killed the president.
It does feel like it's going to be unrecoverable. But one of the premises that I came into the series with is there are certain things that happen in storytelling, in film and TV. There are certain kind of generally accepted things that ruin a marriage. Infidelity is the first one that tends to come to mind, and it's a little bit of a shorthand in narrative storytelling for how a relationship that you swear will last forever falls apart. That's the unforgivable rift. So I came into this having made the decision that I didn't want it to be about that. I just wanted to take it right off the table. They talk about like, oh, this would all be easier if you would go have an affair. It just isn't the issue. This is a couple who both fell in love with each other as they were in love with the work that they do, that they're impassioned about. And there's a big kind of moral, ethical center of gravity to that work. And I liked the idea that differences between ethical choices where somebody draws a line is what would break it apart. But I also feel like, I'm in a marriage. Like the things that make me say, "Oh my God, we're not going to do this for another day," is like, I don't like the way that you're inhaling.
Yeah.
Like your exhale is okay, but your inhale is
Inhale
just
too
making
much.
me
I'm
insane,
done. I
right?
I think it's also funny you mentioned that about Hal, because in any other show he would have obviously just been like, yeah, I'm sleeping around. But he's just like so devoted to Kate. Like out of every issue, it's just, oh, I'm just conniving because I just like my job. But not even like I'm totally faithful to you. Even when Dennison's sister in the first season tries to make a move, he's like, yeah, I'm dutifully devoted. You could
Yeah.
see. I think that's a very interesting aspect about Hal, who has layers. And I think also, Rufus so well. It's like that finale sequence when he's on the phone. I'm curious also, I talked to Alex about
Yeah.
directing that final
Yes.
moment, which it ends on such a cliffhanger. What was it like when you guys were in the writer's room and you're planning out? Did you think like, oh, this is gonna be like, did you feel like organically you're like, we have to end it at this moment? Like there's no other point?
Moments like that are complicated
Hmm.
because when you first bring it up in the writer's room, you're like, you know what? Hal should tell him what's going on and he should just drop dead. It's like, that's so stupid. That's a good idea.
No one's gonna like
It's
this.
also, nobody's going to like it. It's going to seem really dumb. It's going to seem
Yeah,
really disrespectful to
sure.
President Biden, who at that point was running for re-election.
Yeah,
And we weren't comfortable putting out the idea that like he gets one piece of bad news and just keels right
he's gonna
over it.
croak.
So it just seemed ridiculous.
Hmm.
And we kept coming back to like, but ultimately, isn't that what we want to do? Is we want to sort of take this situation that's come to a breaking point, which is the relationship between these two women, these two politicians who are at this point sort of in their own way, like fighting over one job, and crack it apart such that everything that they understood before can no longer be true. So it did feel ultimately like the right narrative move, but then you've got to say to yourself, like, this could be really cheesy and stupid. So how do we ground it?
Hmm.
And the moment that I felt like, oh, I know how to write this was when I was thinking about this scene where Hal calls Kate on the phone to tell her what happened. And he's like freaked out, traumatized, in shock. And he's trying to explain that the president died and he can't say it. And he just says he got really upset. And I was like, oh, okay, that's it. Like,
Hmm.
if what he's trying to say is the guy killed over and died, and the only thing he can come up with is like, yeah, he got really upset. I was like, okay, I get that moment. So it's always a matter of kind of like finding a little hook that
Hmm.
grounds it for you so that you bring it to a place where you can, where you feel like you can sell a really big melodramatic story move in a realistic enough way.
And now Grace Penn's the president, and of course, Alice and Janney. Just I said this with Alex. I think this is no need to repeat. Just Alice and Janney is just one of our best actors working today, and I feel just the moment
Uh,
that you got her on set where you just like it's just a pleasure that like I'm writing dialogue for Allison again. Like it must have been amazing.
oh, no, 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 no. Let's be serious. It was terrifying. I was terrified. Alex was nervous. Allison was nervous. Keri was like, everybody. We're all like playing it so cool. Oh, and big
Oh, it's great. It's gonna be
two, we're
fine.
so happy. All like everybody is sweating. It's like, is it hot in here? Why isn't the air on? And we were just all nervous, like wanting
Hmm.
to, for me, wanting to write something that was worthy of her, wanting to write something that wasn't the character that we had worked on together in the past. And there was something that was so great about kind of giving a gift to these two women, which was each other. They're
Hmm.
so good. And just seeing them be able to play off somebody who is really kind of at that level of mastery and alacrity. And it was just
Hmm.
fun. And there was like definitely the nerves where everybody's like acting really cool in the beginning.
Hmm.
And then the first few takes where everybody was like a little reserved. And then they just started to have such a good time with each other. And it was like, oh my God, this is going to be great.
Uh, I know you can't give away too much for season 3. Are you guys still filming? Are you guys like is it wrapped?
We are editing.
Oh, okay, great. Okay, so this question I'm curious of, but again, we don't want to give away too it. You can't give away too much of the master plan. The whole tee up of, the diplomat is that eventually, if it all worked out, Katie becomes VP. They're teeing her up for this job. And I think, London and England is just such an essential character of the story itself that do you ever envision the story or the series going past that where it is Kate in back in the US working the highest office? Do you feel the moment they leave England the show's done? How do you envision that? Do you think it's only bound by the parameters of that location, which again, like the conflict that arises from interacting with everyone?
I wish I could answer that question, but out of respect for your mother, So
Oh, I
out of your
tried.
mind. I'm not answering that
You
question.
know, I
Uh,
tried. Maybe a new diplomat comes in and,
Who
Kate shows
knows?
through
It
the
could be
ropes.
anything. It
Who
could be.
knows? Well, I can speak for everyone that we're excited to see whatever Hal messes up next year, whatever Kate has to step up to the plate, and how everyone else runs in circles, and what's Grace's plan now as president now that she's committed practically treason, if not if so treason. It's gonna be a delight. I'm very excited to see what you and the rest of the team do. Deborah, this is just an amazing conversation. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's a pleasure talking to you. Thanks for having me on.